Hello, my name is Alex. I was given 6 questions to answer from Scholarly Scouts. The first is a brief introduction about myself and my education. My name is Alexandria Ross-Garner. I am from Chicago. I received my bachelor's in biochemistry here in Chicago at North Park University. I also work full time at a chemical plant on the south side as a QC chemist. And I'm also pursuing my master's degree at Northeastern Illinois University in chemistry with a concentration in separation science. Now, this means that I'm learning to work with various analytical instruments such as HPLC, GC, and IR that can be used to analyze a variety of samples such as proteins, medication, and food products. My program is about 2.5 years. I take majority of my classes first. These were done online, and then once I was pretty much done and I was ready to start my research, my master's degree to complete it, I actually reached out to professors to figure out or to look at what type of research projects they had going on. Now, I know I wanted to focus more with HPLC, and the professor I'm working with now actually had a few projects working with pharmaceutical agents and utilizing HPLC to create a method to look at their impurities and degradations. And so that's actually what my current research project is on. So when it comes to your research, you kind of want to look at what's something that interests you and what professors may have projects that's similar to what you want to do. And how did I find my way into being a QC chemist? So in around July 2021, I began looking at jobs. I knew I wanted to work more with analytical instruments, and so the jobs that I was applying to, I kind of wanted to fit more of a description that helped me learn more about instrumentation and just working with it to analyze various samples. The job I'm currently at, I had 2 interviews, well, really three. One was a screening call with HR, and then I had the second interview with both the QC manager and supervisor, the director and QC supervisor at the time. And then I went on a tour and actually got to speak with some of the other QC chemists there. I think about 2 weeks later, I was offered the job, which I accepted and have been there for about 2.5 years. Now, I actually learned a lot in this role. I actually use a lot of instrumentation to analyze the raw materials that we make, which includes glycerin, stearic acid, and oleic acid. Now, these chemicals or raw materials rather are actually used in a variety of products such as tires, gum, lotion, even jam. It's just so many things. And it is a 24-hour chemical plant. And so luckily we kind of rotate every so often, which was helpful to me because I was actually able to still work full time while also pursuing a master's degree. So I actually kind of worked for about, I would say, 2.5 years total industry, and about a little longer than that, just in general. I worked as a lab technician at Argonne National Lab, and I also worked as a lab technician at a small startup, and both located in the west suburbs. However, while I was completing my undergraduate degree in biochemistry, I worked as a pharmacy technician at Walgreens. Now, I definitely thought I would be okay to transition from working as a pharmacy technician to working as a lab technician in the field that I was studying in. There was a big difference. So I actually learned to read literature properly in school and in industry. You need to learn how to read these documents and really look at what it's actually saying properly because you need to make sure you're running your experiment correctly and also take notes a lot better and neatly and organized in your lab book. Now, while we do learn to analyze data in class, you do use it a lot more in practice. However, you won't utilize every instrument you use. For example, sometimes you may use IR or GC more. In other places, you may just use NMR completely. For me, using the resources that I had access to was really helpful and being able to draw on what I had learned in undergrad. Now, while you may not actually use every instrument, or you actually may end up using an instrument you have little to no experience using, knowing where to find the information to reference it and manuals was really important. There was a few instruments I had to go back through my notes from school to figure out how do I do NMR coupling? And it kind of clicked a little bit and it made sense. Sometimes you had to really read manuals for other instruments that you weren't too familiar with. Another skill I actually learned how to develop was time management. I kind of had that already working and going to school full time in my undergrad. And so with that, I was able to actually really understand what it is I need to do. So you only have so many hours in a day to complete the task that you need to. And sometimes some experiments could take maybe a week or so. So understanding, how long is it going to take to complete this experiment, and what do you need to prep, and what's the longest step of this task. Now, I actually learned really just to really sit down, take notes, plan out day to day what it is that you need to do in order to accomplish this goal. How do you get to that goal, and what other resources can you utilize? Reaching out to my coworkers was a big step, because sometimes reaching out to the coworkers can be a little bit difficult, but once I started doing this more and more, I became a lot more comfortable in asking questions, even if I wasn't sure about what it is that I even needed to ask. So just building up the confidence to know when to ask questions and when to reach out for help. So tips on people who are interested in becoming a scientist. So I actually knew I wanted to become a scientist when I was in grade school. I actually was really good at math and science. I was good at a lot of classes, but for some reason math and science kind of always clicked. And as I got older and got into high school and started looking into colleges, you get just told to blend chemistry, biology, physics. But now you have a lot more resources at your hands. And I think for those that are interested in becoming scientists, and if you're still in high school or even undergrad and you want to switch schools, really reach out to faculty at any of these prospective schools, advisors. What is it exactly that you're wanting to major in? What are you able to do with that degree? And even what does the school itself offer? Every school in the country and abroad offers chemistry as a major in biology. But what are the subsets? Some may offer zoology. Some may offer marine biology. Some may have specifics like forensic chemistry or cosmetic chemistry or food chemistry. So for that, I would say if you're in high school, go on the school tour. Sometimes a lot of high schools schedule college tours. That can be some of the most helpful things that you can do, because you really get to see what colleges look like. You get to talk to actual college students, talk and ask them what their day-to-day life is, timing of classes, if the professors are difficult, if the classwork is difficult. Do you really like this major? Sometimes you can love a major and you may not like one or two classes. Another good resource would be your guidance counselors, your teachers, even family friends, even family members. If you know someone who's in a similar field, or even if they are in a different field, getting and gaining different experiences about coursework can be really insightful, and really sometimes just opinions, and that can really help shape what you want to do. The information you get can be a tad bit overwhelming, but really I think it's really helpful, because you really can make a really good decision. And sometimes you may end up switching programs or majors because you may not like a class, or you may like one class more than the other. With technology and social media booming, honestly, a lot of more websites and all these majors have some type of online resources, associations, programs, professional organizations that have websites that you can go on and really look at what is it that this field does. Like American Chemical Society, there are websites for design, for public health, for IT and chemistry, just so many different fields, and you can really gain a better perspective of what it is that you may want to do, and maybe a lot of things that you see can overlap. Another good resource, honestly, is TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, a lot of social media. You can really interact with scientists that are similar to you, and then also are different from you. Look at how their college life went, their experience went. What was their college life like? What research did they do? Did they study abroad? Did they have maybe personal issues, depression, different things that can be very beneficial for you? And so you can a lot of times really connect with these scientists directly and ask them, how did you like this major? What were some of the classes you found difficult? What class did you pass? What class did you fail? And so I would say social media, Google, just even the people in your life, your guidance counselors can be a really good resource. And like I said, this is so much information. It can be so overwhelming. And just remember to take, a deep breath, because sometimes you don't want to just feel like you're going to quit, which it's just a lot. And I think that a lot of young people will have a lot of better chance of really knowing what they're getting into if they're able to reach out to scientists directly and know what the field is like in the different varieties of fields. How did I know that my graduate program was a good fit for me? So I actually applied to about 6 colleges, and I actually created an Excel spreadsheet detailing the program, its requirements, admission requirements, and requirements to graduate, as well as cost and location from where I lived at the time. So I live here in Chicago, and it gets really cold in the winter. So for me, I wanted to choose a school, well, even in the brunt of winter, if I needed to get to campus, I could, that it wasn't too far. I actually reached out to a few of the program advisors at a few of the schools. I actually got a chance to talk to them too. I went on campus when I just talked via Zoom, and learn a lot about the program and like what classes I would be taking and how that looked, the different type of classes you can take, and where those classes can take you. Now, the school that I'm currently at, the information they gave me was really helpful. I was able to talk to some of the resource. One of the professors, she actually helped with like lab prep, and that was really helpful because I get to really see, where students were working, undergrad, graduate, where if you were doing research, where your lab would be at, who you would need to ask if you needed anything at all. And so for me, ultimately, distance and price was my determining factor. And I wanted to go to a school that if anything happened, I could pay out of pocket, and I would also be a reasonable distance. I would be okay financially. I also did this while working full time, and so I needed to find a program where I was able to take classes without interfering with job, where they didn't interfere with each other. And so at this current school, I actually took most of my classes online. Some of the classes I was required to go on campus to take the exam, which wasn't too bad. And once I was completely finished with classes, I then switched to research. The professors and the fellow students were really nice. They were all really helpful. I actually saw that when I visited the school, and everyone seemed friendly. And you don't really know until once you start attending the classes. But so far with taking my classes and going for research, everyone's helping each other out. If I have any questions, I ask the other students. If they have questions, they come and ask me. Professors come and ask you about your research. If you have questions about them, you can talk to them. It's really, really a great program because a lot of professors are very personable. It doesn't feel like you're kind of stepping on eggshells. And that was important to me because sometimes research can get hard and programs can get a little bit difficult, overwhelming. And you want to go someplace where you feel the most comfortable in asking questions if you aren't sure. And now with this program, I knew I wanted to do a complete full research project. For my master's degree, you can either take the amount of classes needed to graduate, the total credits, or you can write a paper in the form of a literature review, or you can have your own research project and write your own paper and defend that in front of a committee. That was important to me because in industry, you're going to have to learn how to talk about your results with your coworkers and your supervisor. Do you understand what happened? Do you know how to present your research and detail the steps that you took? What instruments did you use or do you need to use? And for me, with this program, these professors, I'm actually doing that, and it's really nice because if I need help with one instrumentation, I'm not sure, I can reach out email or in person, and they're more than willing to help with students and as well as the professors themselves. So I would say knowing and understanding that professors are people too. When you are a student, they treat you as a person. And the last question is, how did mentors actually get me to where I am now, or help me get to where I am now? So I don't know if I actually ever had any officially a mentor. I actually did take part recently in a mentorship program That was about 6 or 7 of us mentees, and our mentor was Malika Grayson. And the whole program, 6 month program, we met once a month or twice a month via Zoom, and it was really informative because it gave me great insight and provided great examples on topics like time management, overcoming imposter syndrome, stress prevention. And so you really got a chance to connect with other students who were married, who had kids, who were, first generation, who were maybe the only minority or only women, or, a variety of differences. And so you really get a chance to see what scientists really look like, and everyone's so different. And you really get to talk out and help each other out, give great advice, and even if you want to connect on a personal level. What also helped me was my coworkers at my current job and previous job that I had, where I was really able to talk with coworkers about their PhD programs or their master's degree programs, or even if they just had experience in a bachelor's degree. That was even helpful because you really get to see what it's like to be a scientist at different levels, and that no one way to become a scientist isn't always wrong. It's so many different ways to become a scientist and do what's best for you. And so that really kind of helped shape me where I am now, because it made me realize not sometimes that you aren't a failure, and that your own path is your path, and that's also okay. And I was able to talk about personal life and how I wanted to fit into if I wanted to go back to grad school, and if a master's or a PhD was best for me. And for me, a master's degree was my best option and what I wanted to do, and I'm happy that I actually chose that. So I don't know if I would say I had mentors, but I definitely had coworkers that was really helpful and insightful, and that led me to decisions and the career that I have now, as well as a part-time graduate degree. So hopefully this was helpful. Again, my name is Alex. If you ever need to reach out to me for any questions, my email will be listed. Thank you so much.